We have a new Ethereal Eyes, y'all. This is Ethereal Eyes Nature. Look at how pretty this is. Let's get a little bit of a base on. I use this almost every single day. I think I already need to buy a new one. I've had it since it launched. This is the shade Sandstone, and it's so blurring, and it's also very, very close to my skin tone. So I'm gonna take a fluffier brush, still use the side, because I do find that with this formula, tapping works best. Until I get up here towards the brow bone, then I can do a few circular buffing motions. Bonus tip, since this is so close to my skin tone, I do a little bit of spot concealing with it. I'm still gonna put foundation on, but it's really, really nice for covering up little blemishes in a pinch. So this might be worth noting. You see that this side is just more of your classic neutrals, and then the other half has a little bit more of the green earthy tones. So I like that separation. If I cover it up, it might even make more sense to you and not be as confusing. Sometimes when I do that, I can get a better understanding of where I want to go in the palette. I am actually getting ready to go to a wedding, so I am going to stay on this side today. I always do more than one look with a palette, and I am packing on quite a bit of the pigment. Because if I'm not mistaken, the Ethereal Eyes palettes aren't usually as wildly pigmented, which is not a bad thing, not at all. Actually, is a little bit more user-friendly. So I'm picking up more of that same shade, and I'm just gonna press this into my socket. If I really want to get some intensity going, I would just switch to a smaller brush, and I'm just giving you some ideas. This is the same shade, just want you to know. And then I'm just gonna push that into my socket to create more depth. So it's kind of like a 2-for-1 special when you just switch brushes. Now let's hop here. And this is going to be a really nice blur shade for me, and I'm gonna show you why. It's not gonna be identical to my skin tone, but it's definitely in the realm of my skin tone, which is always good to look for. It's really nice if we can find a shadow in our collection, and most of us already have one, but find one that is very similar, if not identical, to your skin tone, and then you have a really beautiful blur shade. I'm going to use this shade, and by the way, this has a lot of sparkle in it, which I am not complaining, but I want you to think of that. This is considered a sequin. It's a matte with actual sparkle in it. So I'm going to take that, focus most of it on my brow bone, and then I'm gonna bring it over this way. Get on there. I'm still gonna use some concealer to blend in here in a little while, but we're not there yet. But we are almost to our lid sparkle. Now I'm gonna take this brown pencil, and before we move on, I'm gonna create some dimension right in here. And I think I'll do the same thing out here. And before it dries or sets, I'm gonna take that same shade, and you can see it just adds some nice dimension without having to work too hard. Now I'm not gonna worry too much about here, because once you add the shimmer there, one thing shimmer does is it hides mistakes. Remember that, my friends. Y'all knew I was gonna go here. You already knew it. I'm gonna add just a whisper of this right through here just for added depth, and a little bit in the tightest point here. And this would be considered, let's see, more of a spotlight eye. Halo is a little bit more defined, but this is one of my favorite eyes to do, actually. Now I've learned with Mario's sparkles that you want a really tacky base. I am gonna even this out with a brush. I just thought I would throw it on with that. Here we go. C31, because if you don't want the sparkles to migrate all over your face, this is the trick. I'm gonna take the more champagne shade on an E28, and I'm just going to tap that mostly in the center. I don't even mind if it creeps up a little bit in the center. It's gonna catch the light so beautifully. Over this way. And I'm even taking it on top of the brown. Remember the dark brown? But I'm going less there That way you still see the shadow, but it has sparkle as well. Speechless. You know, I should have used this liner. So I used the pencil liner, but this is Hung Van Gogh's gel liner, and I like this version more. It just glides a lot easier, a lot more easily. Don't be coming for me in the comments. It's hard to communicate and draw at the same time. And then I'm gonna grab an E26 and just soften the line. And I don't mind if the sparkles come to visit that line. I'm also gonna take the gel liner on the outer corners of my eye. And then we'll come back to that later. Let's do some Ardell 424s. I don't want to cover up all of this beautiful shadow, but I wanted a little extra floof. So these are going to be perfect. I let them sit there and get kind of familiar with the shape of my eye before I go in and clamp. This one has already become a little bit more familiar, so I can start to clamp it down on the skin without it being pulled away. Let's add a little bit more shape out here. Still using a fluffy brush, that way it's not too intense. So kind of stamp that out here. Now the gel liner again, bring it out of the waterline, and then I'm going to blend it with the E26. I want my waterline to match the lid, so I'm going to use this Urban Decay liner. More base is going to be crucial so we don't have a ton of fallout. And let's leave it pretty tacky. Grabbing the same color, I'm gonna grab it on the center of the brush, minus the cat hair. Well, you can put cat hair if you want to. And then I'm just gonna push that right in the center. Now, as I'm putting on this lip liner, I don't know why I chose to speak while I'm doing this, but I actually feel like I'm getting less fallout with this palette. I don't know if it's that base that I used, but I don't usually mind sparkle, but I want to bring it to your attention because a lot of us don't like the sparkle to fall down. And I have been filming things in between here. So this has taken me about 2 hours to film. And this really hasn't gone onto my cheeks. All right, friends, here's our finished look. I had so much fun creating, but I'm really excited for these two shades. So stay tuned for that. But if you enjoyed this tutorial, go ahead and save it for later.